everything else. They just continue to progress each and every day.
You come into Washington State with some very glossy numbers and accolades already. The Jerry Rice Award as a freshman, Walter Payton finalist, Southland Conference Offensive Player of the Year, 47 touchdowns. How do you top that?
Just being who I am. Just trying to be better than what I was yesterday. Just trying to continue and work on my footwork. Changing, getting my arm angle up. Certain throws I make to the left, and just being disciplined to my mechanics and not trying to do too much and just play the way that I know how I play.
You have a very deep receiving core to throw the ball to and anticipate probably throwing the ball about 70% of the time, maybe.
Yeah.
Talk about your receiving core, including your former teammate who just joined the Cougars.
Yeah, I feel like our receiving core is going to be one of the best in the country. Starting with Strib, Dazon Stribling. He's our ex. He's a big body. He goes up. He makes those 50-50 balls. You throw him a jump ball, he's going to come down with it every time. Then, to Lincoln Victor, our Y. And you also got Renard Bell. He's coming off an ACL injury. Him being able to move how he is right now, just coming off the injury, he's going to show an improvement each and every day. And Lincoln Victor, every time it's man, he's going to win 100% of the time. Also with Donovan Ali, he's more of our bigger body receiver. Just put on his body, he'll make the play, and he's just a smart football player. Along with Rod Farrell, my former teammate who's here now at Washington State, is coming in with me. He's a great little small fast guy. He knows how to read defenses, get in and out of cuts and everything, and just being an overall smart football player.
You had a number of offers coming out of Incarnate Word. What were some of the deciding factors for you in choosing Washington State?
Just trying to be in a system that fits me. Coming out of high school, I didn't play in a system that fit me. Didn't let me showcase my abilities that I wanted to. So just taking different visits, going to talking to different OCs, different head coaches. Just seeing what they want, what I need to work on from another man's point of view instead of Coach Morris. So a lot of went into the decision to come to Washington State, but I feel me just staying within that same offense, I know it already. I feel like I'm putting myself in a great situation here at Washington State, and I feel like I can do something special here.
How hard is it to transfer from someplace after 2 years and go somewhere where you don't know anybody except your offensive coordinator?
It's different, but I like change. Coming from Texas, all the way to Washington, you got to get used to the cold. I'm starting to get used to it. And just being around different set of teammates. We have a lot of diversity on our team. We have a lot of kids from Samoa, a lot of kids from Hawaii. So just hearing more about their culture, their background. Coach Dicker, he does a great job bringing us all together. The team camaraderie that we're going to have for the season. So just him being the head man, and everyone just having that one common goal.
Coach Dickert has been very complimentary of your leadership abilities. Does leadership come naturally for you?
It kind of does. I'm more of a, leading by example. I had many talks with Coach Dicker. He wants me to be more vocal. I feel like I'm getting that as time goes, but I want to approach the team, my own kind of way. First coming in January, I didn't want to be too vocal. I feel like it's best to, create relationships outside of football before you try to get into the football things with the team. So just being a quarterback, it's kind of your role to be a leader of the team, especially starting quarterback. But I think that's just as time comes, and I feel like I have a great personality that anyone could adapt to me.
You follow in a very long line of illustrious quarterbacks at Washington State. At least a couple of them were here tonight, Jack Thompson and Samoa. That is a very tight-knit group that unites the generations. And you have said they have welcomed you into the fold. What is that like, and how have they welcomed you?
Just the advice that Jack has gave me. Just first thing he told me when I came was just be yourself. A lot of things are going to get thrown at you, even outside of football. So just stay grounded, be yourself. You're the only one who can control where you want to be. And just putting my name up there with the past quarterbacks like Jack and Drew, Luke Falk. So I'm just trying to have my name with those in the Raptors with those guys as my career ends at Washington State. I just hope that I can be up there with them.
The Cougar offense gets a lot of press, so to speak, and everyone's excited about this new air raid, which will have a tight end, which we never had before. What does that mean for the offense, and what will it give Cougar fans that we haven't seen before?
Having a tight end helps us a lot in the run game, and it also helps us tremendously in the pass game. We do a lot of motions with the tight ends to help me see whether it's man or zone. We do a lot of motions with the receivers, to help me see the coverage of what it is. And just the tight end being able to be that extra run fitter, that run blocker that we need, just giving us a true one high safety. So whether it's going to be cover 1 or cover 3, just having that tight end helps out the entire offense.
When we did this same panel in Spokane last month, your teammate on defense, Ron Stone, was with us. And you two, there was quite a bit of good-natured fun going back and forth. Is the camaraderie between the offense and defense strong with everybody?
Yeah, everyone gets along. We all hang out with each other outside of football. RJ, I think he's going to be one of the best defensive ends in this Pac-12 conference this season. He looks real good during fall camp. He gets upfield a lot. He can make he's an athletic tight end, so he can recover and make those amazing plays. But I think right now we're right where we need to be going to summer workouts. The first semester of the first summer workouts is going to be just football on campus. So I'm excited for that, for me to get to know them a little bit more. Take the offensive linemen out to eat. So just trying to have everyone around, within the same space for that summer one's going to be good.
Who are some of the guys on defense who've really impressed you, since you have to face them in practice every day?
Like RJ Stone and Brennan, the two defensive ends, starting defensive ends. But I say Dayon Henley, starting linebacker, he's impressed me probably the most, just how athletic he is for a linebacker, the way he can move. He made a ridiculous pick, interception on our first day of spring practice. So just the way that he, can run with receivers, he can also play the run game, and he's good at reading his keys with the tight end. All the RPOs we do, I feel like he's going to have a breakout year.
So you're coming off a couple weeks of break here and headed back to Pullman. So what will your day-to-day schedule look like through the summer between school and workouts?
I actually had a workout yesterday. Woke up at about 7:30. I had to drive an hour to my workout. I worked out at 9. From 9 to 1, I would throw for about 2 hours, and I'll run for a little bit with one of my quarterback coaches. Then we went to the weight room to go lift. So just having kind of like that pro workout scene, him taking us through that, everything that pros do. That's somewhere that I'm trying to get to, hopefully. Then just for the rest of the day, just playing the game, being me, hanging out with my friends back at home. I don't get a lot of time to hang out with them due to football. So just catching up with them. Then my family, go fishing. I like to fish. So just doing what I love.
Now, you mentioned your family. Your parents are here with us today. I was fortunate enough to join you at lunch today. Calvin and Patrice, right here in the front row, the very proud parents of Cameron Ward. And your dad was one of your coaches when you were playing youth football. Talk a little bit about their influence on you in shaping you as a human being and a football player.
They had a big influence on my life. My dad teaching me how to throw football since probably 2nd or 3rd grade. Once I decided I wanted to be a quarterback, he taught me everything I know from how to throw outside the pocket to throwing a spiral. What finger has to be the last finger to lead the ball. And my mom, she was more of the disciplined parent. She was more of the school parent. She helped me a lot with sports. She was basketball. They both they traveled with me every game. They never missed one of my games. So just having that support system behind me means a lot to me, and I just know wherever I go, they'll be with me.
Well, I have to commend your dad, too. He was a Houston Cougar in his day, and I'm just so pleased that he was open-minded enough to let you join the real Cougars.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, any particular game this coming season you're looking forward to? This will be your first time playing everybody at this level, but any game in particular?
I'm looking forward to a second game when we go to Wisconsin. I already told Coach Dicker we got to wear that all white. We're going there to shock the world with that game. And also the Apple Cup. It's been played at Washington State. So just trying to end the regular season with the win against the Huskies is going to be big for Pullman.
When you were at Incarnate Word, what was the largest crowd you ever played in front of?
Probably about maybe 5,000 people. We played Texas State. That's actually our first FBS win in program history. Incarnate Word. Probably 5,000 people playing over there.
So I don't know what Wisconsin holds. I'm guessing 75, 85,000.
I was told like 100,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So slightly larger than what you're used
Yes,
to,
sir.
but a great venue to show off what you have. Any other thoughts about the Cougs I haven't asked you you'd like to share?
Just more probably about defense. Armani Marsh, our nickelback. He's one of our defensive leaders, in my opinion. He's always around the ball. He's always making plays around the ball. The way that he excels as a leader is something that I'm trying to get better at. The way he leads, being more vocal, and also Lincoln Victor being one of our vocal leaders on offense at the receiver position. Just trying to have everyone, like I said earlier, that camaraderie that we're going to have this summer. I feel like it's going to be one of our best seasons.
Now, I do have to ask you about academics, too, and talking to your folks earlier. Master's degrees are pretty common in your family, and if you don't keep tend to your studies, you will hear about it at home. Talk about your major and what your aspirations are after football.
I'm majoring in sports management right now with a little bit of business into it. I'll probably decide to probably do a little bit more of the coaching tree, take that route. I'm not very sure about it, but I think as time goes on, I'll be able to make a decision come graduation time. But right now, as far as major sports management, I want to coach.
Okay. A lot of people may not know this, but you were a multi-sport athlete and still hold your high school basketball scoring record. And when we told that to Coach Smith earlier, I just saw his heart sink. So don't be surprised if, he says, we could keep you busy through the wintertime.
Yeah,
What did you
to
play?
let me come play. He need to come let me play point guard. I'll average 20 for him consistently. Coach Dicker might not be cool with it, but it's whatever.
Okay, well, he'll have to negotiate that with Coach Dickert then. All right, Cam, thank you very much for your time today, and best of luck to you and the Cougs this season, and I hope you send 100,000 people in Wisconsin home very upset.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, welcome back. I'm again Steve Witter from CougsFan.com. For this segment on NIL, most people who follow athletics, I think, know what it is by now, name, image, and likeness, which allows college athletes for the first time to be paid for their name, image, and likeness. But the interesting trick is that the universities have no control over it, and it's really an arrangement in which the athletes work their own deals with companies. So we've had a group here of Washington State alums that includes Robbie Tobeck, the former Cougar great you may remember from football. And Robbie's group, the Cougar Collective, is working to secure help from Cougar alums to help our student athletes. And Robbie told me something that just tell us what's happened in the last 2 hours.
Well, just in the last couple hours, our website, cougarcollective.org, that's cougarcollective.org, has gone live, and we now have a donate button on that website where people can go on and you can donate any amount of money you want to support our Cougar WSU Athletics and our athletes through NIL opportunities. And if you want more information on it, there's some question and answer section on there. There's good information on there. But this is one of those things that's needed. This is the day and age that we're in, and we have to compete like Cougars compete. And the exciting thing is this thing just went up this afternoon. We haven't even promoted this thing. All I did was put a tweet out, and we've already raised a couple $1,000s, and that's without even making an ask yet and stuff. So I know Cougars, when they're challenged, Cougars step up to the plate and Cougars get things done. And I have no doubt that as we promote this thing and as people see this need, Cougars are going to step up, and Coach is going to have what he needs to go out and recruit, and our players are going to know that they're going to have deals coming to them.
Well, I'll piggyback off of that real quick, because as Robbie alluded to, the game has changed. Right. And Cougs, we have to change with it. And part of that is just showing our spirit and coming together, and the collective is going to be the new era of the NIL, because regular people, just like you and me and all of us Cougs, can contribute to it. You don't just have to have a business anymore to give someone a sponsorship. So it's going to be the new era of how I think Washington State stays competitive in the new NIL market, and that just isn't football. It's basketball, it's volleyball, it's soccer, it's all of our sports across the board. So just excited to see where this new venture goes.
When we had most of this panel together 3 weeks ago in Spokane, Robbie was talking about the urgency of getting this going in a hurry. And obviously, the Cougars mobilized quickly.
Yes. Well, years ago, we used to talk about the arms race in college athletics. I'm a football guy, so I always talk about football. But college athletics, it was always about, we got to have a new weight room, got to have a new locker room, got to have an indoor facility. We got to have facilities. That's the arms race in college athletics. Well, let me tell you right now, we have great facilities, but unfortunately, the new arms race is NIL deals. And if you're not competing in the NIL space, you're not competing in college athletics today. Period. End of discussion. You can have the greatest facilities in the world, but if you don't have NIL opportunities for your athletes, they're going to go somewhere else. And we've seen that happen already at Washington State University. And we don't want to lose our guys. These guys go out and they work their tails off recruiting, bringing in the best athletes that we can bring in and win football games, basketball games, volleyball games, whatever it might be, soccer, whatever it might be. We love winning, right? Well, we as alumni, we have to help win. And really, there's never been a greater opportunity for alumni to be closer to the program than there is now, and that's through NIL deals.
And real quick on that, just because, as Robbie alluded to, because he went through the recruiting journey, the recruiting phase of it has changed. And one of the questions I get asked from families and players all the time is, what is going on at Washington State as far as the NIL? And to be able to tell families now, after Cougar Collective is launched, that we're off and we're running. And I think that's an important piece of this journey as we keep going, because official visits start for us this June. And to have that in our back pocket, I can't be directly associated with it, but know the good people of Washington State and our Coug fan base everywhere is just supporting our athletics and our players and our student athletes is very important.
You got me? So with that and recruiting as well, we get a lot of the stories out of ESPN that have the crazy numbers of $8 million to a quarterback, etc. Honestly, that's probably not going to happen here. This happens in conjunction with being who we already are. And so as long as we have the ability to create opportunities, I know we said this happened in a hurry, but 6 months ago, we probably had our first meeting together.
Yeah.
And we looked at what is this going to look like for the coaches that are currently on the road in Texas, in California, in Florida. What will they need to be able to compete? And we got to a point in multiple sports. Right now in football, we don't have to go names, they signed a pretty good recruit, one of the highest that they've ever done in this market of volatility right now. Basketball did the same thing a couple weeks ago. Soccer will continue to do the same. Volleyball, we're seeing the same thing happen. So it's not the let's get to $8 million, do something crazy and not be who we are. It's the let's create opportunities within what we're already doing, because this is now the new normal, and then complement that with the coaches, the people in this community that we already have in places like this. And so that's what's worked for us. We are winning. You can see it on the scoreboards. I won't go down with what's happening on the west side to other people. They have a lot more money, and it's not converting in what we have because we're combining that with who we are. And it's pretty cool to see that happen here.
The best part of what Sherman says is you hear about the $1 million deals, but it isn't just that impacts student athletes, you know, and just as much as giving to a walk-on so he can eat every meal a scholarship player does. There's so many different ways and avenues that we can take this down a road that I think is going to be really inspiring for all Cougs.
Coach, it seems that NIL and the portal are typically discussed in tandem. They are separate things. Nick Saban has said the present model is unsustainable. Now, NIL probably isn't going away, but on the portal side, what recommendations would you have to make it at least more manageable?
Well, I would say this. First off, when everyone asks me about it, it's a positive thing. Okay, NIL is a positive thing, but just like anything else out there, it's positive in the right light. The transfer portal is a positive thing, but just like anything in life, it needs to be in the right framework. So I think there's always situations and circumstances that someone needs a new start and a new beginning. I think they're working currently on tightening the windows down, I think is what we all learned. You just can't transfer whenever, right? After spring ball, nobody can lose their whole offensive lineman because that's what could have happened, right? So I think they're working diligently to put just really good framework around the transfer portal, and we wouldn't have Cam Ward without it. So there's a lot of positives to guys getting an opportunity for themselves that I think has been much needed in college athletics for a long time. So we just got to make sure we're keeping it in the right framework. And at Washington State, I tell guys all the time, we will not be a talent acquisition program. We will still be a high school developmental, find the kid that's in small town Washington, like Abe Lucas, and watch what he turns into, right? So I think that'll be, what we do going forward, but we'll always have to understand how to find ways to enhance our team, and that's how we will use the portal here at Washington State.
So the fall portal for fall athletics at May 1, I believe, was the deadline to put their name in. So when does it reopen?
So essentially after your last game. Okay. And instead of being open from your last game all the way to May 1st, hopefully there's a closure period within that. Because what we're also finding out is it's amazing. It was a big disadvantage to be a semester school, right? The quarter schools had an opportunity to get kids in for spring ball. So it ended up being a competitive disadvantage, right? So like I said, there's guardrails that we're putting in place, and we'll be very competitive with it going forward.
Okay. So while your emphasis is on the high school players, you have very selectively and effectively found some outstanding transfers to come in. Yeah. In all the national rankings of portal, Washington State's considered one of the winners. Talk about some of the new players coming in.
I think the biggest thing is we kept it within the framework of what we wanted. Players that coaches previously knew, right? There's a lot of those guys. Guys that are moving up from a lower division, or guys that are coming back home. Those are the three parameters that we set when we attack the portal. And I think when we stay in that framework, you can have positive results. So the biggest stat that people use is snaps gained versus snaps lost. We're one of the tops in the country, okay? Because when you play football, and Robbie knows that at many different levels, and I was a Division III player, that's why we look different. He's Division I, right?
Different positions.
Yeah, I look like a fullback now. I played wide receiver. But when you go, I don't even know where I was going with that, but when you put those frameworks of all levels are different, and there's a fine line. So when you play at a high level, even though at a group of 5, like I came from at Wyoming, you're really good at football, right? So we try to focus on those guys because you cannot replicate college experience. You can't replicate those Saturday nights under the lights. So we had an opportunity to bring a lot of guys that have played a lot of meaningful reps, and they're used to kind of pushing through adversity. So that's how we got there. And obviously, Cam Ward, just been impressed too with the guys that we have added, their character. Cam came into a tough situation. We had an opportunity to really put his stamp on it, and he did it by putting his nose down and just working. Because we got a group of men that whoever we bring into our program, they respect work, okay? Because that's what we're about. And as soon as those guys are about that, it's amazing. They just feel part of it really quickly.
Most of the people that are coming in appear that they'll be immediate contributors. If not starters, they're going to play a lot. Can you talk about some of the individuals?
The transfer guys we got? Okay, so obviously Cam Ward, excited to take the reins over of the offense. Grant Stevens was a huge addition. He's an offensive lineman. We have a huge need at offensive line. That's where, Robbie, we got a couple snaps left in us, right? We just signed Cam Johnson, who's a tight end, who's going to be one of our tight end H-backs, a great pass catcher and a weapon. Deion Henley, all Cougs fans should know the name Deion Henley. We've lost a couple, linebackers from last year's class, but he's going to plug in that Jahad Woods role. He's probably the most athletic linebacker that I've ever been around, and that's saying something because Logan Wilson is the starting Mike for the Cincinnati Bengals. And then Jordan Lee. I think he'll immediately replace Daniel Isom at strong safety. And once again, came from the University of Nevada. He's just been a football guy. These guys are football guys. And I think it's important to that core group of guys you've gotten a chance to see, and some of the other guys that are coming in will get a chance to see those guys this summer.
One of your former bosses and mentors was Craig Bowl at Wyoming, and you, like everyone who has ever coached with him, speaks of him not only with admiration, but with near reverence. How much do you follow his model, and what makes him a special coach?
I just got an opportunity at the Pac-12 meetings to see Coach Bowl. And it's funny because even now he goes, Jake, you still remind me of me. And we had one of those relationships, and it wasn't father-son, but he always told me he could see himself in me. And just the work ethic and a little bit of that old school toughness. But he believes in football is football, right? Football is life's greatest teacher, right? And when you get knocked down, it really tells you a lot about who you are, right? And using those moments to teach and develop young men, right? So those have always resonated with me. I'm just a small town Wisconsin kid, right? That chip on my shoulder has been there my whole life, and even now in this position, there's just so much I've resonated with. But he's a big believer in the teaching process, okay? Coaching matters, right? So taking things from the film room to the walkthrough, to the reps. Nebraska and Coach Osborne was known for their, double reps, right? So nobody stood around. They'd have 4 inside run drills going at one time, So the old school mentality, the grit in your fingernails, and just doing things the old-fashioned right way, that's kind of what, I embody through Coach, but then now I just make sure I always put my own stamp on it.
Sherman, you're a former coach, and you're a former, I guess you're never a former Marine, but you are a Marine Corps officer. So you have been around exemplary leadership your whole career. What impresses you about Washington State's leadership and ethics?
Appreciate that. And I was thinking about Cam Ward and the situation. We talk about situations that you're walking into. And with college athletics now, I know mental health is a big thing going on. A crisis that we're all trying to wrap our heads around while we're doing this. So I think we see the headlines and we move forward from them and don't really assess what's happening to a 19-year-old. And from a leadership standpoint, imagine that you're walking into your first day at work. In every national publication, people know how much you make, where you came from, who you are, your family's names. You're walking to lead 100 other men that have just came out of battle together in a particularly rough time. And there's not a single negative thing that I've seen from that point in time on. And you're willing to take your time, that you're on vacation right now. Some people, there's no amount of NIL money that would take you out of Texas to fly up here for a day, to come give your time to sit down with other people and take pictures with other people's kids. And so without even having to talk about who he is, what coach is teaching, we can see that in the players that we have. You can see that in the resiliency of the team that's got through there. And so that's what, for me, that's what I see when you're evaluating that, because there should be a stop button to putting more on these guys and these girls. And right now, they're primed for these opportunities because we're seeing them persevere through a lot of issues, a lot of stuff I didn't have to deal with as a player at 19. So from a leadership standpoint, that's exactly what I see in the unit and the individuals that are on the field here, which is pretty cool. And what motivates me to try to, get them a plane ticket to go home, bring them to Seattle for the first time, do things like that.
And one thing, I'll piggyback with that off of Sherman too, just off of leadership, but the biggest pitch I have to recruits is that Pullman and Washington State creates connection. Connection, that Robbie can really speak of, that's generated by you, okay? The players, by the faculty, by the staff, by the student body. It's generated from within, right? Because, I can have every player to my house in 8 minutes. You can't do anything like that in Seattle, LA, the Bay, Phoenix. You can't, right? So that connection is what we all live on. And when you're in that locker room, when you're on those fields, when you're on the volleyball court, it's just amazing the type of connection that I think we all share. And I think when you get to these events, I know I feel it. I know I'm still learning about it, but I think it's something that Robbie can speak on that it's just different.
Well, and I'll piggyback on Sherman as well. But one of the things when I was a young player, it was all about X's and O's, and the coaches got to put me in this position, this, that, and the other thing. And then the longer I played, I was fortunate enough to play for a long time. So the longer I played, I figured out, it's 11 on 11. There's only so much really a coach is going to be able to do for me, right? So I started looking at a coach, and really I started doing this when I got here to Seattle to play for Coach Holmgren. And I started listening to the most important meeting of the week for me was Monday, the day after our game. What does Coach have to say? Win, lose, overtime, tie, whatever it was. What is Coach going to say today, right? And so to piggyback on what Sherman was saying about, look, ever since that point, there's been a different message, a different feel. Well, I listened to Coach after games this year, right? I listened to him in his press conference. I listened to him, when he became the intern, and by the time they announced him as a coach, I knew there was no brainer. We had to have this guy as our head coach permanently.
Thank you.
He earned it because he got the W's on the field. But it was what he was saying and what he was doing off the field in that press conference to the team, the messaging that he had, and how he cared for those boys. That's what sold it for me. So, just my experience. That's what matters.
To follow up on that, all the years you played in the pros, you had teammates who played for every school in the country. Did those teammates have the same affection for their schools that you had for yours?
So when we were in the Rose Bowl, and I don't remember if it was the Michigan or the Oklahoma Rose Bowl. I believe it's the Oklahoma Rose Bowl. When we played Oklahoma in the Rose Bowl, I had one of my best friends from Atlanta. I was playing in Atlanta at the time, and he was a USC guy. So I went to the hotel, and we hung out with Coach Price, and we saw the coaches, and we had a good time. There's a lot of alumni around. He came to all the alumni stuff with me, and he goes, you know what? I went to USC, and we would never do anything like this. We would never have this opportunity to get around people the way you guys do. He goes, I get it now. Because the other schools, they just don't. They really don't have it. And I remember my rookie year, I found a place in Atlanta that sold Washington State hats. And I was all excited. And I told one of the guys on the team, I found a place. And he goes, so what? You're in the pros, man. What do you care? And I was like, I just do care. This is my school. So, there's a lot of affection for your school, and there's a lot of pride when you watch your team. But I got to say, there's just a little bit more here at Washington State.
That's a nice little humble brag to be able to say, I don't know what Rose Bowl it was I played in.
No, I didn't play. Unfortunately, I didn't get to play in them. I had to buy tickets like everyone else. But it was good to be there, that's for sure.
Well, I still remember the Michigan Rose Bowl. I had seats very low in the bowl, and they had put crimson pom-poms on every seat. And I remember turning around and looking up and seeing 50,000 pom-poms waving. I think everybody got a chill out of that. It was amazing.
It was an amazing scene, and I can't wait to go back there and shake my pom-pom again.
All right, we're kind of running to the end of our time here. How about a closing statement from each one of you on NIL or being a Coug?
So one, just if there's any message to take away, it's okay, and we're doing it the right way. I know since the last time we talked 3 weeks ago, NCAA's put out a new policy. California is apparently going to pay their athletes some amount of money. The Big Ten might sign $1 billion deal that implicates things. None of that stuff impacts what we do or how we're doing it, and this is the right way. And these opportunities are resulting in real experiences for our athletes here. So it's okay. We're doing it the right way. If you have questions, you should, because it's going to change tomorrow on the next story that comes out. But and it's happening because everybody's talking and we're talking, and we have transformational, not transactional relationships here, which is good to see. So it's okay. We're doing it the right way.
What Sherman said, it doesn't matter what anybody else is doing. What matters is what we do, right? I can't care about other people. I can't care about what they're doing. I care about Washington State and what Washington State alum are doing. So that's the starting point right there. And I know a lot of people have a lot of different feelings about NIL. And I get it. I honestly do. And I have a lot of feelings about it too. But the fact is, this is where we're at. It's 2022 now. I believe it's 2022. But anyway, it's 2022, and this is where we're at in college sports nowadays. So we have to compete. We have to have that pride, that Cougar pride that I know we all have. And we have to compete. And we have to, we just have to be involved. And like I said, there's a great opportunity to be closer to the program than you've ever had. We've got a lot of good ideas and a lot of things that are going to be coming out over the next year. But right now, what you can do is you can go to cougarcollective.org and find out more information. You can hit the donate button and donate and tell all your friends about it. Post about it. I posted on Facebook, Twitter, whatever. Repost my post, whatever you want to do. But, let's get the word out and let people know that there's opportunities out there now.
I just want to piggyback, what Robbie said, and I want to thank Robbie. I think he's done an amazing job putting this together, and there's a lot of hard work behind the scenes that not everybody sees, and I know you love the Cougs, and I've said this before, it's my time to be the keeper of the program. The program, Washington State isn't Jake Dicker, right? I'm the keeper of the program at this moment, and I'm excited about where we can take it. And we started off this presentation with Dr. Chilton, right, with that big picture with that Apple Cup in the air. And one biggest thing I like to tell everybody is that your hands are on that with me, right? We're all in this together. And the NIL provides a new way to impact and to hold that trophy with us. And I think that's a big part. You can be involved, right? You can help the student athletes. It's no longer just watching the games on the TV and, I'd love to be a part of it. You can be. And that's the exciting thing. Okay, and we all need to do it together. I'm really honored to be the head coach here at Washington State, and go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
Coach, I just thought of one more thing. A news report out this afternoon that the Pac-12 is opting to go away from divisions and go to one unified league. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, right now it's going to be a unified championship game. We're still going to be in divisional scheduling as of right now. And how can you argue, right? The two best teams that won the games in the 9 Pac-12 games, they go to the championship games over the region. So it's one of those things as an ultimate competitor, let's do it, let's go. It would have helped us in 2018. You would have saw Gardner Minshew without the snow, right? And we all know how that would have went, right? Okay, so you would have saw him in a rematch in a championship game without the snow. So I think it's positive for our league, and same. Football is changing every day, and it's just Pac-12 is going to be at the forefront of it.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. And go Cougs.
Go Cougs. Go Cougs. Thanks, everybody.